Trade limitless on HMX, the next-gen decentralized perpetual exchange. Trade crypto, FX, commodities with up to 1000x leverage on the Arbitrum network. Benefit from low fees, multi-asset collateral support, and cross-margin flexibility. Check them out.
From meme to utility, Floki has it all. NFT metaverse game called Valhalla. Floki University, DeFi, charity, and shopping. Floki is governed by the people, for the people. Floki, together, there is no stopping us.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final session, final show of our day 6 of 7-Day Free Trading Congress, the 5th edition. And well, if you couldn't tell, there's a lot of smile on my face. And there is a reason for it. There's an actual reason, not only because this is an excellent opportunity for everybody to learn reliable information from the trading, from investing, from like a regulatory point of view, and so many other fields. Another reason is that I'm about to introduce my great friends and people that I always admire, and people that I always look up to, and people that I got to meet in person earlier this year. And ever since, the smile wouldn't come off my face. Consider it a feature, consider it a failure on my end. The smile is gonna stay here because I'm honored to host this session with Perry Woodin, who's the founder of Note 40, and Garry Cardone, who's Garry Cardone. Welcome to the show. How are you doing, gentlemen?
Good. Thanks for that intro.
Oh man. Yeah, so how's it going? How's it doing? Hey, there you go. Of course, man. How's it going with you, gentlemen? How are you feeling today?
Oh, so good. I mean, it was a rough summer to go through, watching where crypto was heading and having no idea what the government was going to do to our industry. And now to see the exuberance, I've been through a number of cycles, so this is it's really an exciting time.
How about yourself, Garry?
I concur. We got a delay on the ETF this week and the price went up. Go figure, right?
I know, right?
If this
That's
is
pretty
what
crazy,
then man, God, pray for us all.
I know, right? Isn't that crazy, bro? Whenever I think about it, whenever I talk to the people about the ETFs, the people who are outside of crypto, at times it's very difficult for them to get the full compassion and the excitement. You cannot pretend the excitement is there, isn't it, Perry? Garry, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, and Garry alluded to this, that would be seemingly negative news, right? The ETF was delayed, and a year or so ago, when we would get negative news, you would see massive pullback in price. And now, I don't know what is negative news at this point. So everything that comes about, even things we would say like maybe a particular exchange not looking healthy, the market doesn't care because it sees where this is going. So everybody's just trying to get in any way that they can.
That's right. What are you seeing, Garry, lately?
Well, I think, Perry, I think said it really. Perry and I went to North American Blockchain Show last week in Fort Worth, and he and I were talking about, he's been doing this a lot longer than I have, and we were talking about the price, and he made a comment. He said, for the first time in probably 6 years, I feel like Bitcoin's running away from me, right? Like I'm not gonna, when you're building a business like Node 40, you sacrifice a lot, right? You sacrifice time, other opportunities, and part of that is, hey, you're funding a business that's like going to be really, really important to the ecosphere, but at the same time, you're seeing finally Bitcoin do its, like what I say is that Bitcoin is now on the world stage. It has all its spotlights on it, like main stage, and it gets to decide whether, and the industry is going to decide whether it really performs up to its the expectations that everyone's pushed out there. And I think we're getting ready. We should find out in the next 6 months if this asset really performs the way it's supposed to. And I think the world, everything on this planet is set up to make Bitcoin relevant today. So I thought that was best said, Perry, because I could feel the pain on it. I agree with you.
Yeah, but it's crazy as the expectations that are set in your mind of like I could get into traditional investments and get a decent percentage yield. But when I think about Bitcoin, and I made that comment to you, it's at 37,000, and I feel like it's going to get away from me because it's going to go to 370,000. That's a huge gap, right? So if I get in anywhere between 37,000 and 370,000, and it goes up to 600,000, I'm still doing all right. But psychologically, I'm so used to seeing these big moves that that's what causes the fear.
Oh man, I couldn't agree more. So there are so many discussions I've been lately having on crypto with not crypto people, right? Which is pretty interesting in a sign of times and on its own. And what I learned, I've made all the terrible mistakes, like blew up accounts, like I'm guilty of all this, right? And name a mistake, you name it, I've done it, right? I made it. I've been there, done this. So what I've learned is that we all tend to appreciate, on average, as traders, that we tend to underappreciate how much Bitcoin can actually grow in the bull runs and how much can it actually fall in the downfalls, in the bear markets, right? Right now, luckily, we just broke out of this, yearly winter earlier in this year in January. Garry, you remember, Perry? we were talking at your party. We were talking about the Bitcoin, being, basically out of the winter, being, in the bull market, which is a good thing because it attracts also a lot of investors, right? And some of those, may happen to need Node 40, and you mentioned actually Node 40, right? So why don't we give it a little bit of a rundown for what Node 40 is for those who are actually just getting started?
Yeah. So the easiest way to think about this is we produce financial reports for all the transactions you were involved with. So as a trader, you kind of have a sense of what you're trading, but you may not know especially if you're into DeFi, doing NFTs, kind of on the cutting edge of where the industry is, you may not know operationally what you did, and we tell you that, or economically. So is what you did, was that worthwhile? And we produce traditional reports so that you can have conversations with your financial professional, whether that's your accountant, your controller, your CFO.
Is that the same vision, the same picture, Garry, that always comes from your side as a visionary?
Well, for me, my background is trading really violent commodities. And I think in particular, Adrian, your customer base, the people that follow you, the way you guys trade, it's taken me a long time to fully understand the opportunities in Bitcoin. And I probably have had to, pay quite a bit of tuition to learn. But for instance, my DCA strategy right now, I have 2 Bitcoin bid at $33,000, right? And I'm going to get hit. It's sooner or later, I'm going to get hit at 33.5, right? Even though the price is at 37, because this product moves this way, right? This commodity just moves this way. It's one of the unique, truly unique opportunities. Had I started with Node 40 in this process, I probably would have annualized wallets. Like I would literally, if we really think about this, to maximize the opportunities from the tax rules that are becoming very clear, the ordinary gains, the capital gains that, I deal with capital gains because I invest in companies and I don't make much ordinary income. The day traders that are swing trading $1,000 swings, which like this Node 40 was built on the back of one of the largest high frequency traders in the world. And when you can take that much data and crunch it, you're talking about 1 billion transactions a year that we settle down to less than a penny. That is phenomenal accuracy, right? And the cool thing about the digital world is it's not accuracy that we've ever been used to. We would round, you'd round off to, hey, get me close to $1 million and I'm good, right? For instance, the Donald Trump thing on Mar-a-Lago and what he valued Mar-a-Lago at, right? It's $300 million property, and they saying he committed a crime or something. Like that would not happen in this space. You would know exactly what these assets are worth, right? You got a bunch of people doing this to establish some right or wrong. So he's going to spend millions of dollars protecting himself. What do you guys think you're going to have to spend? Just the hodlers. Okay, let's take your guys out of the equation. Just the hodlers like me. I am a very complex use case for Node 40. Not that I'm complex in the nature of my transactions, but in the nature of me getting my professionals boned up around me that they don't have to understand blockchain, Dogecoin, Chainlink, or Bitcoin. They only have to understand a bunch of numbers that I present to them through Node 40. So I've removed all my professional analog risk, right? And all the people that have ever helped me, I'm going to interview my mentor here in a week or so, one of the smartest guys I've ever met in my life. He has no clue about anything on Bitcoin. He would be completely useless, brilliant guy, but knows nothing about Bitcoin. Will be late to the table, doesn't understand it, isn't interested in understanding it. Now, that's most of the population.
But Garry, he understands finance, right? So
that's exactly right. He'll understand numbers. If I present him Node 40, he'll get Bitcoin much quicker than me explaining blockchain and Bitcoin to him. Right.
Right. And that's where our concentration is translate this complexity that everybody is like, that we're all into, translate that into something that Garry's mentor can understand or my financial professionals can understand.
Yeah. And who are those, right? They're your lawyers, they're your tax advisors, there's your accountants. Michael Saylor became he liquidated Bitcoin last year. Everyone said he would never liquidate. He liquidated because he's a smart investor, okay? Because he looked at his numbers and he had teams around him and said, hey, look, you can take a monster tax loss here and reset your basis. For your traders, I don't think most people really know where they're making money. And one of the things Node 40's done in the last 2 years is it's added a function, and Perry can explain this better. I'm just Joe Basic here, but it's added a function where literally we hit a button for those of you that are interested, for the risk managers that are interested in, hey, is Adrian really making money? Or is he just swinging a bunch of noise all over the place, right? Oh, he's a swing trader. But you know what I'm saying, Adrian, like there are pockets, like I've traded positions before that had I had the data, it was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have been trading that at all. It was a waste of energy, time, and capital. But it's basically a quality of earnings, right? It's exactly what an Ernst & Young would do if they're looking at a business that's swinging $20 million of revenue around. There is quality you can place on all those transactions and say, all that stuff you did with Polygon, it really didn't make any money. And all that stuff you did with Bitcoin, like you took a lot less energy on XYZ coin and you made a tremendous amount of money. That's really relevant information, right? So it's quantifying and qualifying all the data that comes through this crypto digital asset world. It's got to be valuable to people if they know how to bifurcate it and read it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, if they know how to read
what
it.
What a good rundown. So how do you make them know how to read it, Perry?
Yeah. So the first step is to connect to sources that you have. So you may be trading on various chains, you may be trading on various exchanges, centralized or decentralized. And when you ingest that data, that gives you the first glimpse into what you've done. I think most of your audience would be used to looking at like what I've done in terms of a block explorer. And that becomes really problematic because it's super complex. You're trying to determine if it matches up with what your intent was. And often it doesn't. So the first time somebody uses Node 40, they'll take a look at the transactions and see, does this match up with the intent of my trading strategy? And we have built in flexibility that allows you to say, this is my intent, that allows me to defend the positions that I took. And that could be different from different between traders. That could be different between organizations. So we offer that flexibility to understand things in very different ways and then defend that position. Defending that position is really critical. Again, if you've got in-house financial folks that are essentially looking over your shoulder to see, did you make money on these trades? But also when it comes to if you're a professional organization and you're going to have those transactions audited, you need to be able to really communicate what that intent was to your auditor so that they can come up with the same calculations. That's really what we've had to focus on, because just analyzing the data doesn't help you very much.
Oh man. So isn't that, what I'm thinking out loud, again, just take it with a grain of salt. Having all those folks like, BlackRock, Larry Fink talking about Bitcoin as a flight to quality, right? Having all those ETFs being filed like Vanguard, VanEck, it's all coming together, right? There is no way to deny this because it's happening. It's either happened or it's happening as we speak, right? The new rules and regulations, the bills are being passed on a out there, daily, weekly basis somewhere in the world, right? For Europe, it's a European Parliament voted MiCA, right? Markets in digital, markets in crypto assets. Yeah, right. For the United States, there's also a lot of bills being pending. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? In terms of processing, being processed. Again, I may be wrong. From what I've noticed is that this kind of like erases the barrier that used to exist between the traditional finance and crypto. Because when you try to do something as a crypto business, you would basically meet and face banks blocking your accounts. You would face businesses not really wanting to do anything with you because the banks can block their accounts, right?
Yeah.
And it had also the stigma of being dirty. Well, in fact, the vast majority of money laundering is ever coming and being pushed via cash, right? Which makes but all the perfect sense in a word. So what I'm saying is that isn't that actually true, Perry and Garry, that all the previous obstacles connecting crypto and traditional finance are kind of like going off, disappearing right now?
Yeah. So the obstacles, so I don't know if they're disappearing, but they're becoming clear. And when an obstacle is clear, then you know how to deal with it. So you know what's in front of you, you know how to get around it, or work within the confines. Like I've been in this long enough that my bank account has been shut down a few times because I would transfer things in or out of my bank account to an exchange. And they didn't like that. And the thing that we've had to do as an industry is find the way around. So like I can go into the bank and I can prove what I'm doing. Like here's the audit trail. I can show you exactly I'm following the rules. I don't have to do that with traditional trading. There's AML, KYC, and traditional trading, and then that's it. Then you're off to the races. In crypto, you never know when you're going to hit the next barrier. Well, now we know. Now the barriers are becoming clear. And they're saying, as long as you're within these guidelines, we're going to allow you to operate. And so now we can kind of push at the edges and see what we can and cannot get away with, and then what we need to do to comply. So I think everything that is coming out is going to be good. And if it allows mom and pops to get into it because it's easier, like the ETF, I think what's going to happen with the ETF is you're gonna get people that start to put significant earnings into it. So if you're doing your 401k, like you're going to be able to get into the ETF. But what's also going to happen is people that get into the ETF are going to raise their hand to their financial advisor and say, yeah, by the way, I already had some Bitcoin. What do I do with this?
Oh man. So Garry, isn't that actually, like we say, those barriers just getting thinner? Isn't that a perfect spot for the demand for Node 40?
Well, we're actually a little worried about that.
What do you mean?
Well, the problem with these new industries, especially an industry like this one, that the legacy players, got to remember, this industry just popped up, right? Became a $1 trillion industry out of nowhere. For the last 6-7 years, we've been challenging whether it's even going to exist or whether it's just a Pokemon event, a fad. Clearly not a fad. Clearly a global product, which is something that the United States has not dealt with in 50, 60 years. They've been able to, control the crude oil market around the world. This is a really weird thing for them. They're not in control. They're only 12%. Any changes or regs they make or don't make or probably not even relevant to whether this product or industry actually survives. But you have all these legacy players, whether they're lawyers or accounting firms, tax firms, forensic firms, who've invested very little, if any, money in the digital asset world. And it's understandable. The problem is we are now go ready. Rocket is launching in T minus, and no one is ready. Like, it takes large accounting firms 500 hours to do a normal tax accounting forensics audit of a very simple buy only $2 or $3, $4 million portfolio in crypto. 500 hours at $200 an hour, that's $100,000. That's not going to be competitive. We can do that same thing for less than 10% of that in size, right? On scale now, like we could go to XYZ top 4. Hey, I want all 30,000 of your clients, and we can really do that highly efficiently. One label, their label, not our label, and handle, between a $30,000 client and a $50 million client that's swing trading like you guys are. So these are really different use cases. This is a risk management tool more than an accounting tax tool. It's a big data analytics tool. And really, once the data is there, you can rip out anything you want from that data, whether it's value at risk, whether it's, hey, how many churns were done on a trade to make $1 million? Are you better off churning less? What are your fees? I mean, we see accounting, and we see the accounting firms not even ingesting their fees. Like we take everything out that has nothing to do with the actual profit generated or the loss generated, which, by the way, is really important. Knowing what your losses are is really, really, really valuable, in particular if you're going to trade, right? If you're going to swing trade. So look, this is, for me, I am going to be audited. Okay, there's $55 billion been approved by the U.S. government, Congress, and Senate to add more tax people, tax enforcement authorities. I will be audited. It's an expensive event for me. It's a $40,000 to $100,000 event for me, just legal fees. And I think that's the way you have to look at it. Is I and our clients, the people that use us, are very serious players. They also believe that they're going to be audited, and their whole purpose is, we want a third-party solution with our own internal solution, and then we can go to the audit team and say, here's the most granular data you could possibly imagine. See you in the courtroom if you decide to take me there. Period. Like, and then all the lawyers and accountants around you aren't hammering you for $30,000. That's how I came about Node 40. I got hammered for $40,000 by an accounting firm because I was in the middle of a shitstorm and I had to have somebody. They were the guy, and they took, some lady took 14,000 hours to go through every little spreadsheet number. I mean, dude, it's ridiculous. Gave it to Perry. He did it in 12 minutes. I mean, it took me longer to load to get my account set up with Node 40 than it did to run the math.
Part of what you're hearing,
grand, by the way, $700,000. My lawyer, my accounting guy told me I owed like some ridiculous $700,000. I had never sold Bitcoin.
Part of what you're hearing Garry say is that we don't really know yet what kind of information we're going to have to provide from all of our trading and from all of our investments. So this is unique in finance, where you have to be prepared for everything. So we don't know yet what's going to happen litigation wise, regulatory wise, just plain old paying your tax wise. We don't know what's going to be required from us yet. So you really have to have a war chest of data that you can provide in any scenario. And that's really unique. So people need to keep that in mind and treat this as a full-time job, not just a hobby.
That's a strong statement, right? And it makes sense because, well, for those who are not familiar, Garry Cardone has established, this excellent brand of chargebacks 911, right? And how many years ago was that?
Yeah, mute Gary.
Yeah, hold on, you've muted yourself.
Sorry,
Why
11,
did you do it to yourself?
11, 12 years ago. 2012, we started that business.
2012, right? And there's so much experience that you've got there, right? In terms of like how important it is to stick with the regulations, right? Because eventually it's going to chase your tail. It's going to catch you. It's impossible to just keep running and praying, that it never catches you, because eventually it does catch you, right? So speaking of how important, the regulatory side is, right? Isn't the Node 40 again as a SaaS, as a service, service, well, as a
Software
service,
as a
basically, right? Software as a service. Thank you, Barry. Doesn't it actually become like a companion for everyday trader to do it by the book, to do it right, as the only way ensuring the regulatory compliance?
Yeah. So again, the regulation is still not entirely clear, and it's not entirely clear in any jurisdiction that we look at. And the reason I can say that is if you read any of the regulations right now, or at least the proposed regulations, even the language, the folks who have written these this guidance, even the language is not accurate. So those of us who are really in the deep tech side, we read this stuff and are just shaking our heads because they will conflate a wallet with an account, and they don't define transactions properly. So what that means is you've got to be prepared for everything, and the regulations are going to drive that. At some point, this will become very, very clear, but it isn't now. So when things aren't clear, in the absence of clarity, we want to have as much data or ammunition as possible.
Yeah, just to add to that, Adrian, I think having been down this road so many times before, I can understand what Perry's saying. But like, I don't need any more clarity from the regulator. This is what they want. Every piece of granular data that's available, period. You have a responsibility to provide that. And you don't need any more data from the government. If you get in a position where you have more and better clarity, like we call this complete crypto clarity, like it shouldn't be fuzzy. It should be clear as Dallas. So the more data you get from people that crunch data like us, you don't need a CFO. You don't need a financial department. Like, this is a CFO and a finance department in a box, way less than hiring a CFO. You can still keep your CFO for the legacy stuff, but you don't have to use those resources to crunch numbers. This is only going to get easier for us as we get more and more and more data, right? So I don't really think it matters what the government says. What matters is that you have your assets in the same kind of position that you have all your other assets. And when somebody comes knocking on your door, you can say, here it is, dude. There's no lack of clarity here, period. This is where the money came from. See, that's what my big fear is for the hodler. 20 years from now, my kids open up, 1,000 Bitcoin. They're like, oh my God, somebody's going to go, where did your dad get this money? If that's not available, my kids are going to have a chase, right? They're going to have a problem. This is like, if I really think this is worth billions and billions of dollars, I probably should start acting like it. And that's what I think that we're trying to help bring professionalism to the crypto industry, the digital asset industry. We're not going to tokenize the planet without these type of tools.
Oh man, I got you, right? It makes all the sense. I mean, there's also a question from the audience. Would you mind if I read it?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we've got a question. Do you have any advice on how to prepare for those regulations that otherwise are not clear yet? Is there any particular, no, is there anything in particular you'd recommend doing or avoiding in order to just to be safe for now, for the time being?
Right. So the first thing is make sure that you can capture all of the data. So the way, it's kind of going to the way we do things, is we capture that underlying data, and that should never change. So once you've got the data captured, you're in a really good position. So if the regulations change, that's essentially a business rule. So you can apply a new business rule to the data that you've captured. So make sure you have access to the data is number one. The other is be a professional. So I've seen this over and over again where somebody is trying to capture all of their trade data, and they've got wallets spread out all over the place. It's all mixed up. They're like, oh no, some of that's my mom's. Like, why are you doing this? You can see the direction of where this industry is going. Clean things up now so that you're prepared for when the auditor comes knocking. I mean, Garry said, I'm sure I'm going to get audited at some point. That's going to happen to a lot of people. So you want to make sure you're in a position where you can defend the trades that you made and the profit that you took. So yeah, be professional about it. Make sure that you can get the data. The data is the most important thing to protect yourself.
Anything you would add, Garry, to it?
No, I think that's well said, man. I don't think, I think you're going to be able to determine who the real professionals are in this space by the tools they have. And people that say, oh gosh, I'm going to go buy a $150 software program from XYZ accounting firm to handle my $1 million of crypto or $500,000. It's amateur hour again. Okay. Like, I'm not doing that. I don't need to do that. This is a big play. I know what it costs when they come knocking on the door. You don't have a choice. Okay. I just got through with the FTC, 3 years, didn't do anything wrong. $7 million in legal fees, 3 groups of lawyers, 3 different consulting firms. Like, that is the pain is not how they're going to get you on the audit. The pain is the audit.
Oh,
okay.
Man.
So it's like, if you think this is a business, I've given up. I sold my interest in CB911 because I think this is such a monster opportunity. Well, if you think that's such a monster opportunity, Perry's given up, 10 years of his life. You have to look at this. You're giving up a bunch of your life, right, Adrian? So, like, why wouldn't we look at this as we're front running every major legacy company on the planet, and a lot of smart guys? All we got to do is buy $10,000 and $20,000 software programs and rock and roll. Like, you don't need. Why would I go hire? I've got an assistant here. I'm not going to go hire an accounting lady at $160,000 a year when I can buy software from Perry. That makes no sense, right? Another human being gets calls, doesn't show up to work, has all my data. I got to, it's just. I think people are going to up their game as we move from a $300 little token to a $37,000 to $100,000 asset that is now established as its own asset class. I mean,
but then it's too late, isn't it?
This is like taking your Bentley to the car wash down the street for $1.75, right? Why would you do that to your Bentley? Why would you?
Garry, you touched on this, but the importance of having enterprise grade software versus just some inexpensive. We remember we all laughed when it turned out FTX was using QuickBooks. Like, you can't use just software that's going to cost you $10 a month to do this. So I don't know, Garry, you've got experience in this space. What's the importance of enterprise software? Why is that so different from like a retail play?
Well, retail plays don't establish standards. Only institutional grade products. The other thing is, I've always said this market went backwards. I know the white paper, peer to peer, and blah blah, but like, you don't get adoption going to retail. You get adoption going to institutions. And guess what's happening? BlackRock showing up. They will have 3 auditors on their ETFs. Okay, there'll be 9 other ETFs. They will all have auditors. Okay, so everything's going to be audited. You're going to pay taxes if you're in the United States. If you're not, you probably need to leave right now. I would like start packing your bags because they're coming. Whether you like that or not, hey, that's not in keeping with Bitcoin. I think I have to pay my taxes so that the dams and the highways get repaired. Look, I just think that the type of player, if this is truly, if I haven't made a mistake and given up my whole career to be in this industry, then I'm pretty sure I'm going to need a heavyweight solution for a heavyweight opportunity. I don't bring a knife to a gunfight, okay? I bring a freaking weapon, a gun, and then hopefully a bunch of guys behind me are carrying the same stuff. And the guy, in the gunfight decides, okay, look, knocked on your door. I see that you're here and you're taking care of your property. I'm going to go bother somebody else. And that's, to me, really valuable because my time, I don't want to get hung up in an audit. I want to basically give the information to my lawyers and say, tell them to fuck off. That's what see. To me, that's powerful. You like Bitcoin because it's fuck off. You need to do the homework to be able to tell other people, hey, back off. I've done nothing wrong here. I mean, we bid for FTX's business. We knew immediately, man. Nah, don't want that level of transparency. So if you don't want that level of transparency, I would leave this country right now because you've already told me that you're playing on the edge, right? If not over the edge. And I don't even understand why you need to play near the edge. This opportunity allows you to play right in the middle of the fairway and get seriously wealthy. Now the question is, can you protect that wealth from somebody grabbing it?
Oh man, that's a very good statement. What you're sharing, Perry and Garry, this is such an inspiring thing for me personally, right? Because not only because I really look up to what you guys are doing in Note 40, I look up to Garry, I look up to you, Perry, now that I got to meet you, and confirm how awesome of a person you are yourself, right? There's a lot of inspiration and experience speaking through you. And that experience, like, I just turned fucking 30. Literally, I just turned 30. There's so much I need to learn about this world, right? There's so much I don't know. And it's only by, relying on the role models, the actual legends in the space, like you've done this. You've been everywhere. You've done all the businesses in the world. You've got through all the headaches, all the obstacles, like you mentioned, the freaking audits, right? It sucks that it happens still, right? You've got so much of the experience, and yet you are still here, not giving up on the whole. Not only not giving up on the agenda of Bitcoin, let's say, right? You're actually very aggressively proponing that. You are the very big proponents for it in this space. So before we dive in a little bit closer, to what probably resonates with the Bitcoin people, with crypto people, and speaking a little bit of your expectations, what's coming next. We also spoke about software, which is why I wanted to give a quick shout out to Martin Ruman, our good friend, who's such a beautiful soul, and he's such an excellent software maker himself. And his story is very inspiring. So hopefully we're gonna get him one time on the show as well. Huge shout out to Marcin. Kochamy cię, bracie. We love you, brother. So sorry, I couldn't help it. I had to just
he deserves it.
Out. He deserves, man. He deserves all the love on this planet. That's 100% guaranteed.
He's here. He's here at my house today.
Oh, no way. Get him on the show.
I don't want to get on the show, man.
Oh man, that's so awesome. That's awesome. Cannot wait to see you again, guys. This is such an excellent story. So speaking of Bitcoin now, where's Bitcoin heading? What are your expectations? Where's Bitcoin heading in 2024, and why is it upwards?
That feels like more of a question for Garry.
No, Perry, you've been watching this. I wanted to hear your answer. I'm fairly opinionated on this.
Yeah, man, where's it heading? I mean, up, right? It's going to go up. How high? I have no idea. But like there's one thing I want to say about kind of the Bitcoin and the Bitcoin maxis, and it's fine to really jump on the Bitcoin train and ride this, or the rocket, and ride this up and be really exuberant about where the price is going. But don't forget that this is a brand new technology that has opened the door to many, many new things. So we need to continue to be curious, like what other applications are there? Maybe Bitcoin is the perfect store of value. Maybe it's the perfect way for us to move around value. But what's coming next? So don't put the blinders on. Go ahead and go all in on Bitcoin, but really be open to the possibilities of the technology itself. So yeah, I think as it goes up in price, we're going to start to see more new things come about, and we need to be ready for that.
Well, Adrian, I'm looking at Coinbase's price right now, and Coinbase is at $103. In January of 23, it was $34. It has tripled in value. Binance has been pushed out of the United States. FTX has imploded. Coinbase looks like a massive winner here. Now, they're still way below the IPO price, but this company looks to me like it's the bellwether for the crypto industry, and that it's being validated as it's probably going to be the custodian, the exchange, the broker, and the police, right? Basically the transparent window into crypto. It's
and why
hard
is that? Why, what did they do differently that has been validated by the market?
I think they probably were the only guy that could do it, that the government could lean on and say, hey, if you either cooperate with us or you don't play here, we're going to make your life really crazy. The problem is they still have, SEC still has a open lawsuit against Coinbase. So it's kind of like, how do you approve a guy on the ETF if you still have a lawsuit against him? So that's got to get handled in the next couple of weeks, I think. The stock clearly is indicating that this triple is pretty impressive. That's a double on Bitcoin, right? So it's tripled. It's outperformed Bitcoin by a monster move.
Which is powerful and which is hard
it
to
is
overall.
It is, but the Bitcoin price itself, I think, is behaving in a way that you guys have been doing this longer than me, but the behavior of this commodity seems to be very different in the last 6 months than it's ever been before. I don't think there's any offers out there.
What do you mean?
I don't think there's sellers.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the behavior is doing things like it's moving up on days when the stock market goes down. It's moving up on days when the crude oil price comes down. It's moving against interest rates. It's behaved. Everybody thought that Bitcoin was a superior product as interest rates would just collapse. I've always been like, hey, Bitcoin, if it's really going to perform, needs to be able to perform in both environments. Okay, not just a low interest rate environment, but a wacky interest rate environment. Look, we got $1 trillion worth of commercial real estate getting ready to hit an interest rate wall, right? It's going from 2.5%, 3% to 7%. All of that property gets puked into the market. Every owner of that will not be the owner in the future. They'll all trade for probably somewhere between 30 and 70% discounts. My brother just picked one up, $280 million piece of real estate he picked up for $150 million. Right? This is just starting now. You have a lot of private equity that was raised in 20 and 21 that's so far out of the money. Most of Perry's competitors, their management teams will never, ever see a payday because they raised money a year and a half, 2 years ago at $1 billion. We're raising money at $38 million right now. We're not like being pigs, and we have similar revenue streams as most of these companies. So you look at it and go, okay, I want to run a company that's worth 38 million. Do I want to run a company that just raised at 1.6? And knowing that you're going to have to get $16 billion of value to get a 10x, whereas I haven't ever not built a $500 million business. Building Node 40 into a $500 million business it's just time, 3-4 years, right? Some grinding work, bringing customers on, old-fashioned business, right? Picks and shovels, no underlying commodity risk, just doing a really great software service drilling down in big data. There's dozens of these companies in the payment industry that, you know, they're greatly valued. All those companies will have to move into this space. All of the 43,000 accounting firms will have to provide this service or choose not to have a digital consumer, a digital customer to deal with. And if you don't have a digital customer, guess what? All their legacy assets just walked away too. Because I don't need two accountants. I need one accounting firm that can do all of my stuff. I would love to have one doctor that can do all my stuff, but I can't. But I can in accounting, forensics, audits, tax. So, dude, I think, you know, when you have mainstream coming to this is, I don't think there's ever been an opportunity where you could buy a finite asset that can't even be accelerated. Okay, the price, like this price could go to $70,000 right this second, and you cannot create more production. That's a very, very abnormal, unusual thing. At $300 crude oil, I can stick water into the ground under high pressure and produce more energy. I can literally accelerate the production. My question is Bitcoin, does Bitcoin have enough liquidity? That's my great concern. Does it have enough liquidity without, you know, getting spastic when real demand shows up here? And I don't even think we've seen real demand. I mean, I don't think this is seeding. It might be a little seeding, but it's not a lot of seeding. Okay, the seeding is happening in a different way, I think. So I think we could wake up one day and see a $57,000 number, like from this number right here. Boom, 20,000. Now that's scary. To me, that's scary. But it's also going to think about the value of having an audit and an accounting tool, a real tool where you can now run scenarios, right? So we've never really used this as a risk management tool because haven't had $10,000, $20,000 days. But you start running scenarios where, hey, look, this price is like, what do you think, Adrian? I think there's more volatility to come, not less. Everybody's talking about less volatility. Oh, I don't think so. Do you believe that? Because if you think there's less volatility, this will get easier. I think there's going to be a monster amount of volatility. Monster in ways we've never seen before. Okay, like big volumes being pushed in the market. These are professionals, man. If the market's a little weak on either side of it, dude, we're going to push it. Okay.
Yeah. Look at all the. You can validate what's on chain. Like, look at all the holders that are just they're holding on to Bitcoin on their own. They're custodying their own Bitcoin. That's very different from like how many stock certificates do you have? Like
nobody cares. Bear stock.
Cares. Yeah, nobody. Right. So, you know, if there's a liquidity problem, yeah, I mean, you can see it happening right now. I did want to add one other thing, which was Garry mentioned coin going up like 3x. So that's some of the opportunity I was talking about. Like if Bitcoin is going to rocket up, what are the other opportunities that are out there? Because there will be some, and they're going to be really, really interesting. And so this allows you to
note 40.
Yeah, right. Well, and investing in these other opportunities that are outside of blockchain, that helps push our industry forward, because you're saying we're going to settle on particular standards, and we're going to say that, you know, we really like Coinbase because they're meeting all of the requirements that we would expect from a professional organization. So look for those opportunities, who's doing it right, and that's going to drive value in the assets that you've acquired as well.
I love it. I love the response from you, Perry. I love that you stepped into the discussion here about Bitcoin and coin. I mean, that makes all the sense in the world. And we, like, Jesus, that flies so fast. We've been already like 50 minutes into the show, and we need to wrap it like less than 10. Jesus. Okay, so I've got a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you, and probably we'll need to keep the answers short. So why don't we give it a spin to a quick round of Q&A, you and me? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, good.
Awesome. So first question goes to Garry. Is Grant Cardone getting into Bitcoin heavily right now?
No.
Why not? What the hell?
Sometimes you can't lead a pig to water, buddy. Sometimes they just got to sit there and get fat on their old deal. And then, you know, people come around when they come around. I think these real estate guys are so buried on their position. It's really hard for him to, like, you know, unwind the view. But I think also the Bitcoin community does not do itself a lot of favors of communicating this opportunity to legacy players. Like, it's just too confusing. It's a little too ritualistic, a little too heavy. Hey, this is the way it has to be. You know, the very thing that we hate about the legacy monopoly guys, I see behavior popping out all over the place. You have to do it this way. You have to do it that way. I don't have to do anything. Like, any way I get to do anything I want, any way I want. If you guys want to buy Schmoge coin or Perry's coin, go buy it. Okay. I'm buying Bitcoin. Like, I don't really, you know, I'm not going to buy a $150 software program from Coinly to solve a $40 million tax problem. Okay. Like, that's not who I am. But I'm also not bringing a BB gun to a gunfight. I'm going to bring a big old Glock with some magazines. I'm going to vote for the best president, not the guy that's wearing the red or the blue shirt. So this is going to be if this is a 30 or 40, 50, $100 trillion industry, I don't know why people are messing around with it. Like, I would get I would join a crew like ours and actually help build a business instead of trading, you know, day shares and for $30 margins, thinking you're going to get rich. One day you're going to get wiped out, you know, unless you do this 14-hour days, dude. This is trading this stuff is going to be for the very, very few. And I think it's going to get more dangerous, Adrian, because the pros are going to be coming in here. I don't know.
Yeah,
what do you think,
the pros are here. I'm talking to some already.
Yeah, but they'll be swinging $1 million, you know, they'll be swinging $1 million Bitcoin around, dude.
Right. We all have our strengths and they're different. Gary's strength is in building businesses and understanding how to maneuver as the industry changes. Mine's technology. So like I'm not a big trader, and I know that if I were to play basketball with a professional basketball player, I would get slaughtered. And it's the same thing with trading. I can't do it. My strength is not there. And you know, kudos to you for getting into this space at your age and learning now how to protect yourself. That's really impressive.
Thanks, Perry. You always have a wingman there for trading. Talk to me. We'll set you up. Don't worry.
All right.
Otherwise, a quick proposal now that we are all number guys. We love numbers. Why don't we put Grant in front of us? 3 of us, Grant in a chair, sitting in front. Let's just get him into Bitcoin. No excuses. Let's just get him into Bitcoin.
He does have some Bitcoin. Somebody gave him some. I think he's got a couple $1 million worth of Bitcoin, but
nice.
But he's not, you know, he's not in it. But hey, they're all going to come, dude. I know.
Let's
Grant in
it's
it.
still early.
You let Grant buy it. Right? Okay, Grant can buy mine in 3 years from me. We don't need everybody.
Man.
No, we don't.
What a roasted statement. Good. I
think I'll end up much wealthier than Grant before we're done, and don't have headaches. I guarantee. Watch.
That is a good statement. I like that. I admire your passion there. So, oh man, this is gonna be a quick rush Q&A on my end because I need to ask you those questions, right? I hope you don't mind. So let's try to keep them short. Let's try to keep the answers short because there are 3-4 more. So Perry, what's the one thing and only one that you love about Garry Cardone the most?
He's open to somebody disagreeing with him.
I love it. Same question to you, Garry. What's the one and only one thing, right, that you love about Perry Woodin the most?
Perry has an awesome heart. Like, I trust Perry, and he's a genuinely, unbelievably good human being. That's my favorite thing. There's a lot of other things, but to me, that's the core thing I like about both Perry and Sean, actually.
There you go. Shout out to Sean as well, right? So also one more, a little bit more private, if you don't mind, for 2024. What's the one thing, what's the one private goal that you want to accomplish in next year? Perry?
Oh, a private goal that I want to accomplish next year. Oh man. Like it's really that all the big industry players are using our data. I mean, that would, and I mean, that's truly private because I don't care if the public knows about it. I just want them to know about it.
Boom. I take it. Garry, how about yourself? One private goal for 2024.
Private goal for me would be I'd love to meet somebody to go hang out with, actually, and travel around the world. Just got out of 10 years of wasting my entire good chunk of my life with the wrong items. So it'd be fun to hook up with somebody, go travel the world. I like business, but I've never been like buried by the business. I like kind of intermingling. And this is what I love about this space, is that you can do business and also have relationships and have people you can build community around. I think that's really, really cool. And a very wide range of people in age and experience. So just meet more people, man, have more connections with humanity, and make, try to make some positive change on the planet.
There you go. I love it. There's audience saying you can hang with me anytime, Garry. I'll subscribe to it myself. Anytime, anywhere you go, talk to me, and I'm happy always to welcome and host you, both of you, Garry Cardone and Perry Woodin. And one final question that it wouldn't be me if I hadn't asked this. Are the beautiful birds with you, Garry?
They are. You can't hear them. I have to move them sometime because they're getting loud. But yeah, they're hanging out here. Got 2 cages.
Oh man, I love it. For those who actually don't know, Garry and I share the same passion for the birds, right? I'm a parrot guy. Bird Nest is what everybody's right now tuning in for, the Bird Nest Free Trading Congress. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is actually a beautiful closure, I think, to today's session, the final closing session for the 6th day of the 7-day Free Trading Congress, where people like you have just seen and experienced can come and fetch and bring and learn the most reliable, licensed, experienced information to make your life better as a trader, as a professional. And listening to people always brings a lot of pleasure. Listening to legends like Perry Woodin and Garry Cardone is an exquisite experience. And thank you so much for your time, for your generosity, wealth of knowledge that you've just shared, gentlemen, with us.
Thanks, Adrian.
Thank you, buddy. Great to see you, man.
Always great to see you likewise, and I cannot wait until we see each other again. Let's put Grant in front of us, 4 of us, chair. Let's put Martin inside in the circle, and we're gonna get Grant in the crypto. It's happening. I love it so much. Love it. For everybody again,
Oh, sorry.
What's that? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I thought you'd cut the recording.
Aye, almost. It's still rolling. Though upon the request of the legendary Garry Cardone, I think that's the perfect time to actually quote it and cut it. Thank you so much, and let's roll on to the next person. Before you do so, claim your free access if you haven't for the private seats, private discussions that are rolling for the limited time, still open for you to come in at thebourbonist.com/FTC, which is exactly what you see at the bottom of the screen. And well, a couple days more left. Do not miss out. And that's all. Thank you so much. Adrian, it's interesting to have been your today's host. Bye-bye.
Thank you, buddy.